Okay, let's jump right in. Here's a number for you. Over 3.6 million. That's how many new babies in the U.S. got their names recorded for Social Security cards in 2024.
Wow, that's a lot of names. And it means the Social Security Administration, maybe unexpectedly, is really the final word on baby name popularity.
Exactly. It's not surveys, it's the actual names parents are choosing. So today we're diving into that brand new data for 2024. It just came out today, May 9th, 2025.
Right, fresh off the presses from the SSA. And we've also got a bit of analysis here from Forbes, also from today.
Yeah, so our mission for you listening is to get you up to speed quickly but thoroughly on what's happening with baby names right now. We'll look at the top ones, any big movers,
And maybe figure out some of the stories behind why certain names get popular. It often says something about the culture, doesn't it?
It really does. So let's start at the very top, the reigning champs.
Well, no surprises there, really. It's Liam and Olivia again.
Again, and get this, that's the 6th year in a row they've been #1 since 2019.
6 years? That is, quite a streak. That kind of consistency is pretty remarkable in naming trends.
It really is. What do you think that says? Why such staying power?
Well, it suggests these names just hit a sweet spot for a lot of people. Maybe the sound, maybe they feel classic but still modern.
Could be. Familiarity probably plays a big role too.
Definitely. And it's not just #1. Noah and Emma are holding on to the #2 spots, also for the 6th straight year.
So the top 2 pairs are just locked in.
Pretty much. It seems once names reach that peak, they can really dig in for a while.
Makes you wonder what gives them that sort of magic quality, doesn't it?
It does. Is it the sound, history, or just, they've become the default popular classic names in our minds?
Okay, let's look at the full top 10 for 2024 for boys. Liam, Noah, Oliver, Theodore, James, Henry, Mateo, Elijah, Lucas, and William.
And the really interesting thing there.
It's exactly the same names as last year.
Exactly. The order is shuffled a bit, but the lineup is identical.
That's kind of surprising, isn't it? 0 turnover in the boys' top 10.
It really is. It suggests maybe a stronger preference for those really established traditional names for boys, at least in that top tier.
Interesting point. Okay, now for the girls. We've got Olivia, Emma, Amelia, Charlotte, Mia, Sophia, Isabella, Evelyn, Ava, and drumroll.
Sophia.
Yes, Sophia cracks the top 10 at number 10.
So that's the one change in the girls' top 10 this year.
Right. Luna, which was in the top 10, has dropped slightly to number 13.
And it's interesting, isn't it? Because Sophia with a fee is already up there at number 6.
Ah, good catch. Which brings us to an important point about how this list works.
Right. The SSA counts different spellings as totally separate names. So Sophia and Sophia, 2 different entries.
Exactly. Same for, say, Amelia and Mia, even if they feel related. Or, William and Will, Catherine and Kate. Each unique spelling gets its own rank.
Unless it's hyphenated or has a space in that first name box on the form, right? Like Julianne or Julianne.
Right. Then those are grouped together. It's based strictly on what's written on that Social Security card application.
Which, makes it very official, very precise.
Definitely. Okay, another fascinating stat from the data. The top 1,000 names cover about 71% of all babies named in 2024.
Wow. Nearly 3/4 of all names fall within that top 1,000.
Yeah, and there's a slight difference between boys and girls. For boys, it's over 75%.
Okay.
For girls, it's just under 67%.
So what does that suggest? Maybe a bit more variety or diversity in naming choices for girls outside that absolute top group.
Could be. Even though the top names are consistent, maybe there's a wider pool of names gaining traction for girls overall.
Interesting thought. Okay, so beyond the top 10, what about the names making big moves? The climbers.
Right, the ones shooting up the charts. For boys, the biggest jumper is a name I hadn't really heard much before. Truce. Truce.
Truce. Wow, how big a jump.
Massive. It climbed 11,118 spots.
Whoa.
To land at number 991. And meaning is pretty straightforward. Peace.
Truce, meaning peace. That's really something. You have to wonder what's behind that kind of surge. Is it, a reflection of the times, a desire for peace?
It certainly makes you think, doesn't it? Other big climbers for boys included Coulson, Breyer, Halo, and Isaiah.
Interesting mix there. And for girls, who saw the biggest rise?
For girls, the top climber is Ailany, A-I-L-A-N-Y.
Ailany. Any idea about its origin or meaning?
Yes, apparently it has Hawaiian origins. It means chief.
Hawaiian meaning chief. Okay, so a very different feel from truce. Maybe a trend towards unique sounds or specific cultural meanings.
Could be. Also rising fast for girls were names like Ailani, slightly different spelling there, Marjorie, Scotty, and Analea.
Scotty, interesting. And Marjorie, sort of a vintage revival maybe?
Maybe. It shows there's a lot happening below that stable surface of the top 10.
Definitely. And we should remember, while we're focused on 2024, the SSA has this data going way back.
Right. They started releasing lists in 97, but the actual records go back to 1880.
Which gives incredible historical context. Like, knowing Michael was #1 for boys 44 times in the last century.
44 times. And Mary for girls, 32 times. Puts Liam and Olivia's 6 years into perspective, huh?
It really does. Shows how naming fashions change over the long haul.
And just to circle back on the data source, this is all coming directly from parents filling out that Social Security application, usually right there in the hospital after the baby's born.
Yeah, so it's not a sample. It's basically a census of baby names for the year. That's why it's so valuable.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And, while we're talking names, the reason parents do this right away, get that Social Security number.
Yeah.
It's actually pretty important.
Right. It's not just for tracking names. You need it for taxes, like claiming your child as a dependent for credits.
Yeah. And opening bank accounts, savings plans like 529s for college.
Buying savings bonds, accessing government services down the line. It's a fundamental step.
So the name data is almost like a fascinating byproduct of this essential administrative process.
Exactly. Okay, so let's try and wrap this up. Key takeaways from 2024.
Well, first, stability at the top. Liam and Olivia are still the undisputed champs, showing a strong preference for familiar, well-liked names.
Beneath that surface, you've got these really dramatic rises like Truce and Eleni. That hints at maybe evolving influences or parents actively seeking out specific meanings or unique sounds.
And don't forget Sophia entering the girls' top 10. It's a small change, but it's a change nonetheless, nudging out Luna.
Right. So for you, the listener, seeing these trends gives you a real window into, well, contemporary American culture, right? What names feel right to new parents today.
Yeah, whether you're expecting a child or just curious about societal shifts or even just, interested in language, there's a lot to unpack here.
It offers insights into values, maybe aspirations, the whole cultural vibe.
Definitely. Which brings us to a final thought to leave you with. When you see a name like Truce make such an absolutely enormous leap, what's really driving that?
Is it a direct reaction to world events, a conscious desire for peace reflected in a name?
Or maybe a rediscovered appreciation for that specific meaning? Or is it just, sometimes trends are just unpredictable, something catches on.
It's fascinating to think about what stories are these names telling us about ourselves right now and what forces, seen and unseen, are shaping the names we choose. Something to definitely ponder.